Welcome to the Underground Nation podcast, hosted by the ghost himself, Bounce Ball Boogie. Tonight, we dive into the abyss with Serpentus, the solo vision of Nytheria Nyx, where blackened deathcore meets occult ritual. This isn't just music, it's invocation. Every scream, every riff, every word is spellcraft. Step into the circle and witness where sound becomes sorcery.
Welcome to another deep descent into the shadows of the Underground Nation podcast, where we don't just play the music, we summon it. I'm your host with the ghost, Bounce Ball Boogie. And tonight, we walk through the veil. Our guest isn't just another name in the underground. They are a force of nature, a vessel of ritual and sound, where each performance becomes a ceremony and every lyric cuts deeper than flesh. From the depths of Cincinnati, Ohio, rises the occult blackened deathcore entity conjured by Nyx, the sonic embodiment of art, invocation, and power. This isn't just a show, fam. This is an invocation, so light your candles, turn up your volume, and prepare for the feral storm that tears the veil between ritual and performance. So has entered the Underground Nation podcast. Welcome, Serpentus. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Ryan?
Oh, a lot better now that you're here. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us tonight. It's much appreciated.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Definitely an honor to be here. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. But for those new to Serpentus, how would you describe what you summon through your sound?
Venom made audible.
Venom?
My music likes to cut deep, cut to the emotional point, and also like to really wake people up to what's going on around them, just like I had to when I was younger. Music saved my life from shock factor.
Did music save your life? In what ways? I'm sure there's numerous ways, but what's the most way that comes to mind right now?
So I grew up a lot with Metallica, Black Sabbath, and other like older style bands, Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, for my older brother and my father. And when my older brother, who was disabled, he had cerebral palsy and other diseases, he ended up dying when I was about 12, 13 years old. And through that death, it was really hard on my family. My mom shut most of us out. And since I was the next oldest, a lot of pressure got put on me to kind of help take care of things with my dad and my younger baby brother at the time, while my mom went through a few years of very serious major depressive disorder with suicidal tendencies. So she just kind of shut away, and I didn't have a mom for several years after that. And heavy metal and just all kinds of punk metal, anywhere from Deftones to Limp Bizkit, all the way to Black Dahlia Murder, Slayer, Cannibal Corpse. Greg Corpse Grinder Fisher was actually one of the ones that I studied the most growing up, was because I wanted to learn how to project the right way. And he really taught me how to do that. And even for having a small frame, I think he is the one that I could attribute even being possible to doing what I do.
Incredible. Well, my condolences for your loss. But it's very admirable for you pushing through and finding an outlet the way that you kind of described, or being inspired to do so. When I was digging into learning more about Serpentus, you described each song as a spell and every performance as a ritual. When did this vision first take form? Was it born from spirituality, rebellion, or maybe both?
So my journey started about the same time, about 15, 14 years old. I actually had a best friend who at the time just really was very thought-provoking, always kind of challenged my own inner beliefs because I had a lot of doubts with my religion at the time growing up. I grew up in a traditional Christian Catholic household. A lot of my style was frowned upon. Anytime I brought home anything with a skull on it, it was devil be damned. So it was always an interesting time at my house. I very much was the black sheep of the family, but I also had a lot of weight on my shoulders. I carried a lot of blame for my brother's death. So having that, as well as, I guess, being able to come back around and realize that I had a passion for writing how I felt and writing it in ways that used metaphor. And I wanted to find more information about how I felt. And I actually went to the library, if people still use those anymore, and I got a book. Those still exist as well. And I went and I actually got Solomon's Key, the Lesser Grimoire, the actual book by Aleister Crowley, and that's when I started my deep dive into the occult, was in the early 2000s. And since then, I've always kind of dabbled. I always found it interesting to kind of ride that line between what we believe we understand as reality and just how much there still is for people to try to understand in reality.
Absolutely.
So that's really where a lot of that comes from. And growing up, I had an affinity for computers and music. So being able to get my keyboard linked through MIDI to my laptop at the age of 17 with my first music project that was solo, it was Doc Stein. It was a silly name, but it was something that I thought was unique, and it was me. And that was more of the industrial, like old school black metal. And I remember recording that and trying to figure everything out using Audacity and Adobe Audition, because I didn't have the money for, a Mac for Pro Tools or the equivalent of Logic back then. I just didn't have the resources. So being able to be 16, 17 years old, and I recorded my first album and put it on Reverb Nation, and it's still on there for everyone to go back and read, and to listen to. They can really hear the evolution from the last 14, 15 years and go, wow, okay, no, the talent and that energy and that aggression was always there. Well, yeah, I spent the last 14 years in 3 different industries. I was an IT lead for a long time, learning everything about computers.
Wow.
And so I really wanted to take every resource that I found, and I built a studio computer, which is the one we're on right now. And it has the power to create the sound that you hear every time you stream my music. That's done using my laptop, my desktop, partly microphone you see here. I got a couple others and a whole bunch of other tools that I shove underneath my desk when I'm trying to get ready for interviews. So it's always been a juggling act for me. It's always been a blend of art and technology and learning, because technology and the occult always shared there were always a lot of connections with me about, how we operate, how when things align properly within ourselves, we feel that energy burst. We feel like we're happy doing something. And when we're happy doing something, well, we just want to do it better and more, and we care about it. So blending all those things just made me care more. And 14 years later, now you've got me finally back at the spot where I've got the resources now, and I've got the passion still, and I'm here and I'm ready to stay this time. I'm here to take it to the top.
Incredible. Very well said. And my life changed also when I built my own PC and stopped dealing with store-bought stuff. I wanted to live stream and have one of the best live streams I could possibly have, and that's when we built this thing piece by piece, and it's a game changer. Quite the investment it's been for us. It's been amazing.
Really, and technology is growing faster than our own. So I know that actually kind of touches upon the first track that I sent into you for Singularity. That talks about how, we're moving into an age where the lines between humanity and humanity's creations are blending. And what I saw and what I wanted to express in my vision was a world where maybe people don't have to suffer as much as they have to.
Absolutely.
We finally might get to that point where, like we're finding now, this type of dementia, brain damage, stroke damage, that stuff is curable. It's becoming a reality. All these dreams that we had for a better world, maybe, and through all the nightmares and the naysayers, which is what the song is written from the perspective of. Nightmare song, yeah. Worst case scenario, we're fighting off Terminators and going extinct. Best case scenario, maybe we might get to live a few hundred extra years of happy years.
Absolutely. So then, with what you just said here, how do you channel emotion into your music without it consuming you personally?
Well, I think part of that's I'm just kind of desensitized a little bit, just because of the amount of death I've gone through in my life. It wasn't just my older brother. but my younger brother had almost died as a baby as well. And then after my older brother died, my grandmother, who was my best friend and who was my big motivator when I was a kid to learn music, starting with the classical piano, she always called me her little songbird. And she died when I was only 13 and 14. It wasn't much longer after my brothers, so I kind of got hit back to back. And then shortly after that, my grandfather and two of my uncles. So I've lost a lot of people that were close to me. One of my uncles taught me guitar. He was an electric guitar player in his own band for decades. And I have a lot of inspiration that has kind of just faded away, not in my mind, but just in my life. I no longer get to talk or breathe with my inspirations. A lot of them have passed. And even my own best friend, who's only a year older than me, he passed away from cancer at the age of 19. And him and I, we never got to see our dream of doing music together come to fruition. And I'm sure he would probably be really proud and really amazed with how far that I've come, and I haven't forgotten him after all these years.
Absolutely. Well, again, my condolences for all of the losses. I've dealt with a lot of loss myself, so I can't relate. I wanted to ask, because you said right there, the memories still there and possibly even embedded into your music. When I was reading the EPK that was sent, it described Serpentus as existing between art and sorcery. What's your creative process like when writing? Do you begin with a lyrical concept, a riff, or a ritual mood?
If you're enjoying what you're hearing with Serpentus, you're going to love discovering more underground artists shaking the scene at underground-nation.com. Head over now to explore raw, unfiltered music from the depths of the underground. And don't miss the next issue of Underground Nation magazine, dropping Christmas 2025, where the voices beneath the surface rise to be heard.
It actually, every single song has to have an emotion to even start it. If I start working on a backing track and 30 seconds in, I'm like, okay, like it's great, it's got energy, but I don't feel the words, I don't feel that emotion, I don't feel that story that I'm trying to tell. I want the music to match the story, not the story written to match the music. So that's why some of my music has to be more raw, and I have to do extra work to, figure out, okay, what other plugins do I need in order to get these instruments to sound the way that I want them to, with still maintaining that darker, blackened vibe, but still carry the emotion of softness and sadness that I'm trying to portray, without trying to go into, without saying any names, Lorna Shore, I don't want to go into super sad. I don't want to let myself go there. I try to keep that part separate, because that pain is something that I carry when I get ready to write lyrics. Because when I write, I sing. I just sing them, and I sing what comes to my heart, and then I tweak it later. That's how I write my drafts. And it's always good for me to just write words, because they don't come to mind in sequence. I'll be feeling something and I'll just be singing like, okay, sadness, aggression, heartbreak, this is the death, this is the fall, this is the rebuild, this is where I figure out the answer. And then we all come to the same conclusion that we can get through it. And with Singularity, it talks about how for all to live, the flesh must die. And that's because a lot of us, when we're so worried, especially with someone like me, I have gender dysphoria, I have body dysphoria. I wear a mask partly because it helps me just kind of shut myself off from the world. It lets me know that I can just be myself, even though I wore a mask most of my life. And I had to pretend to be people that I wasn't in order to get where I wanted to get to, or achieve what I wanted to eventually circle back around here to music. It was all just stepping stones. And that's what we all undergo, is a metamorphosis between our prior self. Then we metastasize into something far better and unrecognizable. Even if we look back 5 years behind, I'm completely different than I was 5 years ago.
Me too.
And exactly. And most of us are. I mean, even with our own kids, I have several children of my own. So I get to see them, growing and changing, and the way that they were 5 years ago to the way they are now. It's an incredible change. And if we can foster that acceptance, like, hey, you're figuring yourself out. You're not, yeah, you're weird, but it's a good kind of weird. It's good to be weird,
Embrace it.
Embrace the weird. And by doing that, we find people that are like us, at least can share that weird vibe. It's like, yeah, okay, so you like different stuff than I do, but we're still both weird, so we get along.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a cinematic quality to your performances, smoke, shadow, and symbolism. How important is that theatrical aspect in conveying your message?
I want to do more with that over time, of course, as resources grow and become available, hopefully. But that's a primary point for me, because I believe that a lot of our art, it's like when you can feel the artist get up and put all of that emotion as they're singing it, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you can feel it, then you're with it.
Right.
And that's the exact point that I love about being live and having those theatrics, is because I enjoy that storytelling, that role play between me and the audience. Because when those breakdowns are about to come in, or when those drops happen, like even with my music, I still have drops, it's like, yeah, that's an EDM thing, but like, what's better than a breakdown and then a drop and then just having your mind blown? Like, like that's what we need. I think that I found a lot of inspiration for that probably from artists growing up like Skrillex, and I grew up with them. I grew up with Cell Dweller. Rammstein was a big one for me. Combi Christ is one of my absolute inspirations.
Nope.
Yep, Combi Christ. And I would say my sound is closest to like Dishy or Cradle of Filth, because those were the ones that I really grew up with in my stereo. I didn't have internet. I didn't have an iPod. I literally had to burn discs from my laptop at a library, bring them home, put stuff on my desktop, transfer everything over, and then put it on this big old stereo system that my mom absolutely hated, that my dad built. My dad built it with me, and yeah, it was great, because that's how I figured out how to, wire speakers together that don't actually belong together, but I made them belong.
Yeah.
They were going to yield one way or another, because I wanted more volume, and my dad knew. He's like, yeah, you're the metalhead of the family. And my mom tried so hard to get me into all kinds of other music. She tried getting me into Christian rock. She had me singing for the church.
Good experience.
It's great experience. Singing, I sung on stage in front of kids when I was a kid. I was only 10 years old, and I was singing in the church group. And then, 14, 15 years old, I'm trying to keep myself occupied. And, when my mom and dad got me a keyboard, and it was this little Fender Starcaster, a little starter set from Willis Music. Got the keyboard from there too, right here in Eastgate. And I'll tell you what, music just took off for me. It's always been something that's been in and out of my life, that it's like a heartbeat. You'll have your beats where you'll feel it strong. You'll feel it really strong, and then other times you're just kind of in a rest, because you need to give yourself rest. Sometimes it's good to circle back and give yourself a break.
Yeah, sometimes your body forces you to take a break. If you choose not to, your body will force you.
Absolutely. And if that wasn't the case, I would probably never sleep, ever.
I also relate to that statement. I try to put in as much hours as I possibly can. I fell asleep on my desk numerous times.
Same here.
Or on a chair just falling back.
I haven't fell back in the chair, but I have slid out of my chair a couple of times, because if I'm working on a song and I'm like 8 hours in on a backing track, I'm like, I just want to finish this little piece and get it right. If I go, I'll go and I'll get a shower, I'll come back in, and I'll just be sitting here working in my robe, and I'll just pass out and slide right off my chair onto the ground. Like a little snake, just right off into the ground.
Like a little serpent slithering onto the ground. You must have a comfy floor just to slither on down and still be asleep. Do you have some comfy carpet? Is that what that is?
Just a really clean hardwood floor that's cold.
Oh.
Yeah, I like cold, dark crayons. Definitely like a burrow. It's just how I prefer my living.
Hardcore. Hardcore means hard floors.
That's a good one.
Many artists.
And now, it's time to take you deeper into the void. This is Serpentus, the dark ritual of Nytheria Nyx, summoning energy through pure sound and will. Close your eyes, embrace the shadows, and let the spell unfold. You're listening to Singularity by Serpentus, right here on the Underground
Patrol
Nation
1
podcast.
Charlie to home.
Oh, go ahead, one Charlie.
Create to express, but talking with you, it sounds like you seem to create to invoke. How do you prepare mentally and spiritually before stepping on the stage or even the booth?
A lot of times, whenever I'm driving, that's the key part. Is the whole drive from the time I leave out the door all the way to the venue. It is nothing but a straight meditation with my backing tracks playing through this car or through my headphones, and me just remembering every memory that I put into it when I wrote it. It's not even really remembering the lyrics because those come naturally, and I think that's a big tell, is like, okay, well, you wrote them, you remember what you felt. When you remember how you feel, the words are even easier and it's even more powerful because that pain, whatever memory comes in, like even live, like I'll do extra stuff live that you don't hear on the studio, because live, when I'm feeling that emotion raw, sometimes I gotta throw in a couple extra, really deep something. I mean, it's definitely an animal, and that's what I want to convey, is the savagery that is.
I mean, the animal that I was hearing through your lyrics, I mean, you're cutting through themes of blasphemy, liberation, and transformation. Which of those resonates most with who you are today?
Honestly, transformation is the biggest one for me. Over the last couple of years, I've had some major 180s in my life that have made sure that I'm even here to do music. A lot of them set the way for me to find my way back into music because I needed a better, healthier outlet. First off, I'm still dealing with a chronic illness with my back. It's called transverse myelitis, and it's left lesions in my spinal cord and my brain. And that happened back in 2019. And so it's made it really hard for me to remain mobile, especially without pain. So I'm in physical pain and neuropathic pain every single day. So I don't just have the emotional weight when I'm performing, but I carry that physical pain too. And it makes everything feel more real for me. And that helps me convey even more. A lot of what I'm trying to really invoke in people is that you can change. And as messy and as, like, one of my songs, Mechanical Deformation, off the same album, that song was about just realizing, like, okay, the things that I'm doing for my life are really not good. They're not going to get me where I want to get to. Sometimes you have to rip them out and say, I'm walking away. Like, I just can't do it anymore. And that's when the mask comes off. Maybe you break a mirror. Maybe you flip a table.
The mask off?
You rip the mask off and you say, you know what, I'm not going to be this person you want me to be anymore. I've been that my entire life, and now I get to be who I have always been and who I've always felt I am. And so, the couple of big changes, I was an alcoholic. It was an everyday, even, at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day thing if I wasn't working. And then when I wasn't drinking, I was working 40, 50 hours a week. And then
what kind of work were you doing?
I actually was a security manager for a financial. I'm trying to be very careful not to let the company name slip. I liked the company that I worked for, but my contractor, who basically handled all of us security agents through the state, I was the site manager of there and all the employees there. So yeah, I mean, it was a hard job. We had to manage several buildings across the U.S. We had cameras in Colorado, Florida, even in parts
I'm in Colorado.
We had a data center site out there in Colorado Springs that we would monitor live from here in Cincinnati.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, so it was always cool because I would get phone calls from, like, armed data centers up in Michigan, like Grand Rapids, Michigan. There's a big underground super complex. It's three locked gates that we have cameras on, and all the guards there are armed with, I think, semi-automatics and submachine guns.
Wow, what the heck? What are they protecting?
The data centers, I don't know. I didn't want to know. Lots of, so, that was a big jump for me. But, we had like the Lieutenant Governor of Ohio, John Husted, came into our our building, and I got to meet him and two of his Secret Service agents. And it was really cool because they were just wearing a normal suit, tuxedo, just like you would think Secret Service, and boy, yeah, they were strapped. They were definitely strapped underneath.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like a movie.
Yeah, and it was really cool. So I got to have a few experiences of those in my life before coming back. And one of the reasons I left security was, it was doing a lot of stress on my mental health, and I was ready to get out of it. I had coerced one of my buddies from the military to move up from Kentucky. I hired him on as my second in command, trained him up, and now he kind of owns that crap sandwich. So I got out, he got in, and it was good because I felt like I got to do an opportunity for someone else because I was already kind of ready to move on to the next step of my life. And so it's like, well, if I'm going to give this good position to anybody, it's someone that I know has deserved it. And the reason why is because my buddy, we call him RJ, he was an infantryman with the U.S. Army, and, he went through a lot. He was a platoon sergeant. He's seen a lot of bad stuff. He was deployed several times, and now he's got his own rack of health problems. They don't get enough care. It's been a fight for him too ever since he was discharged. And so being able to just kind of help him when he was like, I want to reset and I want to get on with my life. It's like, all right, well, come on up here. Let's get you going. And I think that's what I want to do with my music too, is I want to give people hope. I want to give people that chance to reset and realize, like, look, no one's forcing you to keep wearing the same old clothes or keep looking at yourself in the mirror and going, I hate the person I am. Listen, I've been there too. I still do sometimes, but what we got to do is just kind of keep our chin up and look and go, look, it doesn't change unless I make it change. So it starts right now.
Right. It starts with me. I think you just low-key said that you were in the military.
I don't like talking about that.
I'll just say thank you for your service, okay?
Well, I appreciate that. I went National Guard for the state of Ohio. Still took the same oath as my buddy Rob did. He went full-time. We tried working on getting me a conversion contract, but instead I decided I was done. I was like, yeah, you know what? I got other things I want to do, and I didn't really agree with a lot of things that were going on as well. So I had a chance, and I took it while I was still able to walk.
Good. Glad you did.
Need spotless results every time? Call Flawless Cleaning Professionals, Denver's trusted cleaning team for homes, offices, and construction sites. From deep cleans to final touches, they make every space shine with perfection. Reliable, affordable, flawless. Serving Denver and surrounding areas. Book your free quote today. Contact Ryan Chavez for booking Flawless Cleaning Professionals and experience the clean that lives up to its name.
So then, are you full-time musician right now?
Right now, I do music full-time 24/7 and be a stay-at-home parent 24/7. I love my kids. I love being home with them. I am partly disabled, so I do have that also as well for me. So it gives me time, even though I have to trade it with the suffering and, with illnesses that we don't have cures for yet. We don't have the ability to go in, replace an entire spinal cord without other serious problems right now.
Yeah.
So maybe one day when that happens and I'm half cyborg, we can revisit that. Like, how are you feeling now? Like, I feel like I could conquer everything.
Man, well, at least you get to spend time with the kiddos, be able to have some time to focus on your music and what comes next, and that is a blessing to be in that position. So I'm excited to see what comes from all this. From everything that you were sharing with me, I'm just like taking it in, because I'm an artist myself, and I'm just like, if you put yourself in that vulnerable state to channel such darkness and intensity, how do you maintain balance and protect your energy afterward?
A lot of the times I like to purge that energy with silence. It's something I learned from David Draymond from Disturbed, was after a live set, just not having human interaction for a little while and just sitting in silence, literal silence. It is the most comforting down for me after a show, because I don't always get right out. My last show, it took me hours to get out after I was done. So, it happens sometimes, and conversations start up, and when you're with other bands that are touring around and you're sharing similarities and talking about the future together, I mean, sometimes it's good to go just sit in a corner, and I'll admit, it's like sometimes it's good to just sit there and kind of just let it out and go, wow, that was rough for my internal mentality. We got through it, and we got through it proud. And we got through it strong. And that's what that's about. It's that strength, that controlled chaos. People want that feeling. They don't want it to be just music that's played. I have backing tracks from my live music. But when you don't lean on them and when you use them kind of just like little touches and little effects, but you leave the energy and the power fluid and chaotic for live, that's what makes it special. Like, that's why you go and watch music instead of just, oh, well, I bought the album, why go see it live? I can just play it loud through my own speakers. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if it was just playing the music and I just stood there and maybe, you know, had the microphone and I just did that for a whole 30 minutes and didn't move and just stood like a statue and it sounded exactly like the record. I mean, yeah, I can see that. But I remember I saw Slayer on their farewell tour at Riverbend and watching the tribute to Jeff Hanneman, if I can remember how to pronounce his name correctly, may he rest in peace. And, you know, Kerry King just still laying all that hate right there on the stage, just not directed towards anyone. That's what we do. We just dump it out. We leave it on the stage. It gets gobbled up and destroyed by the energy of the crowd. And then that negative energy, by the time you're all done, everyone's feeling better because we let it out. We finally had some echo chamber to dump all that pain and misery that we feel we don't want to burden someone else with. Well, music's how we dump it all out together and we share that pit. We're not, what I believe when people look from the outside in and they see a mosh pit, they go, well, these people are nuts. They're swinging on each other. They're, you know, it's like little frame me. And I'll be in the middle of a circle mosh pit because when you put all of your negativity and that burden right there on the ground in that pit and everyone is just demolishing it, you can feel it getting demolished. It is a ritual in and of itself, and that's what every live show is for me. Is that's a way for all of us to get everything that's weighing us down, we throw it out, and we're going to let everything that powered us up right back in. That ferocious, the aggression, the energy, and that hope of, you know what, we're not going to fucking stop. We're not going to give up. We're going to keep being us and we're going to do stuff our way.
Absolutely. So then if your art is the spell, what's the message you want the listener to walk away enchanted with?
Don't give up hope that you can't change.
I'll never give up hope. I'll never give up.
It took 29 years for me to embrace my own identity and what I believed in and who I was without as much fear. And I know that a lot of other people go through a lot of times where they're like, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I want to be. So what else do I do but just turn myself on the autopilot? Well, turn it off once in a while. Go skydiving. Go jumping. Go bungee jumping. Even if you're scared of heights, just have a friend push you. After that, you'll never be the same. You might also have one less friend, but you'll never be the same.
I'll never be the same. I'll never forgive you, Cal. I'll forgive you.
Good. Because I definitely like to push my friends in good ways all the time. Anytime they need it.
That's right. Push them up, all the way up, all the way up. Wow, this has been quite the ride, Serpentus.
Now prepare yourself for the next ritual. This is Serpentus, the occult force of Nytheria Nyx, igniting fury and liberation through sound. Let the flames rise and the shadows dance. You're listening to Burn the Heathens by Serpentus, right here on the Underground Nation podcast.
You had mentioned that this is not music designed to distract. It is designed to awaken. For our listeners out there chasing their own awakenings, what's one ritual, routine, or mindset that's helped you keep your fire alive?
One of the things that I love to do is, especially like during, like when it's raining, even though my body, it hurts more when it's storming and rainy physically, but mentally when I go outside and I sit in the storm, the gentle rain, and I allow that energy to really help reconnect me with the world around me. It grounds us because we're in a digital age. We have a lot going on in front of our faces and in front of our eyes where we have more time with machines than things that are right in front of us. So make time to go outside, make time to have with your loved ones, take a break. You need to have a break in order to have that good balance. And arguably, as much as people say, wanting a work-life balance means you don't care enough, it means you do care enough more about your own life than the value that they try to put on you, because you will always be worth more than that.
Absolutely. That's why I always believed it. Once you're able to work for yourself, go all in, 100% independent. Build for yourself. Build for your family, and therefore no one could take it away or destroy it but yourself.
I can absolutely agree with that.
I know, it's easier said than done. But finally, I mean, if your next performance could reach the entire world for one night, what spell would Serpentus cast?
Oh, that's a good one. That is a really good one. Honestly, I think that I would have to say that the spell that I would invoke there would be gross misconduct, because gross misconduct is a pseudo word play, because misconduct was spelled with only one S, but in reality it's spelled with two, because I am gross misconduct embodied. I do have, a little bit of a trouble history. I'm not perfect. I'm definitely no angel. And one day when I get to the council between God and the devil, they're both going to say, not you again. Nope, both go away. That's the spell that I want to cast for everyone tonight. I definitely want people to understand, like, just because one person or a handful of people says that the way you live your life is wrong, if you don't believe that, you don't have to. You don't have to just doubt yourself and say, oh, I can't wear this because they don't like it, or I don't want my hair this way because they don't like it, or I wear makeup and they don't like it. Who cares? Are you happy? Just be happy. We're all just trying to survive.
Yeah, can we just be happy in pain?
Happily in pain. We'll cry together and laugh.
That's right. And get through this together to the very end. But that right there was Serpentus, a vessel of blackened sound and sacred chaos. Massive shout out to Nytheria Nyx for pulling back the curtain and showing us what it means to create not just music, but ritual. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to Serpentus on all social media and streaming platforms to stay tapped into the shadows. And for all our diehards of the underground, you already know, visit underground-nation.com for everything that's shaking the underground and making noise around the world. Don't forget to subscribe to the Underground Nation podcast on your favorite streaming platform. Leave us a review, take a snapshot, and send it in for us for a shout out on a future episode. Until next time, stay bold, stay raw, and keep your energy sacred. This is your host with the ghost, Bounce Ball Boogie, signing off with Nytheria Nyx with Serpentus. Thank you so much.
That was another killer episode of the Underground Nation podcast with your host, with a ghost, Bounce Ball Boogie. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to our guests on all social and streaming platforms, and show your support for the Underground at underground-nation.com, where real music lives, loud and proud. Until next time, keep it raw, keep it heavy, and keep it underground.